Hello, so here we are, day 2 of the 31 days craft challenge. And this has been set by Amanda Charlesworth over at Scrimping Mummy, if you want to go and have a look at her YouTube channel. She's a fellow Stampin' Up demonstrator and she's also my upline. And I thought, well, this is an ideal way of me getting back into crafting. So I've made this little box, which I thought would be quite nice to put a children's gift in. The paper is from the Birthday Bonanza DSP, and I'll show you some of those in a second. This paper is from the new mini catalogue, which goes live on the 3rd of January. And so this has all sorts of different colours in it. It's got Coastal Cabana, it's got, let me have a look, Basic Black, Bermuda Bay, Crumb Cake, Daffodil Delight, Grapefruit Grove, Mango Melody, Terracotta Tile, Smoky Slate and Whisper White. And I'll show you some of the papers that are in here. So this is toucans, they're very cute, and we've got koalas, we've got some candles, they're upside down candles, and these are 12 by 12 papers. Got some lions, that's super cute. And that's got all of them on there, and we've got some balloons as well. And then on the back of those, just got some random patterns. So these make very good backgrounds. Don't know what they are. Hats and circles, and some more random patterns and some stripes. I'm not very good at crafting with stripes. I go a bit dizzy, make my eyes go funny. And then some gifts. So really lovely and colourful, ideal for children's gift boxes and cards. And so I'm going to show you how I made that gift box. So this is Coastal Cabana cardstock, and this is from Birthday Bonanza using the koala one. So let me get out my cardstock, and I'm going to trim this down. Let's get my trimmer. That's the wrong trimmer, that's the old trimmer. And somewhere I've put down my trimmer. Why can I not find it? There it is. That's because I've just filmed a video and then I didn't clear up afterwards. Naughty. So, here we go. So I want to trim that down to 10.5 inches. So it's going to be 10.5 inches on the long side, and then, what is A4? Is that 8.25? It's the end of a long day. And I couldn't remember how much A4 cardstock measured. So I'm going to trim the long side down to 10.5. Like that. And then I need to do some scoring. So on the short side, and I found the easiest way to do this was to score at 2 inches and then turn it round and score at 1.5. I just found that the easiest way of doing that, rather than having complicated measurements. And then on the long side, score at 3.5. I'll make a blog post for this, so it's got all of the measurements on there. 3.5, 5, 8.5, and 10. You can make this any size you like. I'm using A4 paper, but you could use 12 by 12 cardstock. And all I have done is just work out the dimensions of my box. So I knew I wanted 3.5 inches across by 1.5 inches deep. And I knew that I needed 10 inches of paper for a card for that, plus then 1/2 inch for the tab at the end, so that it could hold it all together. And then I just work out my measurements from there, and I just played about with it. I didn't just miraculously come up with that. That took some working out and measurements and all sorts of things. So what I'm going to do now is fold and burnish that. Now, since I've cleared out my craft room, I can't find anything. I've lost my snips. I have lost my bone folder. It's really annoying. And I don't know why it is when you start tidying up, then you start to lose things. You discover things that you forgot you had, and you lose things. So I'm just folding and burnishing all of these score lines. Of course, they will be burnished so much nicer if I had my bone folder. Just having a quick look in the drawer down there. It just could be anywhere. So you're encouraged to be tidy. And then when you're tidy, you lose stuff. I don't know where my bone folder is. That's really annoying. Okay, so I fold and burnished all of those score lines. Now what you're going to get is, this is the 1.5 inch. Remember we made those two score lines, 2.5 and 1.5. So this is the smaller rectangles. That's 2 inches. That's 1.5. And you'll see there that you've got a little tiny rectangle, and you're going to get rid of that. So you're going to cut up to the first score line, and then you're just going to cut diagonally in like that. And then at the top there, just cut diagonally like that. And then the other thing that you're going to do is then, remember this is the 1.5 inch, you're just going to cut up to that first score line, to all of these, on all of these score lines, just, and they're going to create your flaps at the bottom. I'll try not to say bottom flaps because it sounds weird. So to create those, and that creates the base of your box. And before I actually glue that all together, I then want to decorate my box. So I'm going to put two bits of DSP on each of those. So there's my koala DSP. And I want each of these to measure 3 1/4. So it's 3 1/4 width ways. So make sure you got your paper the right way up. So that way, so if you're looking at your koala, and he's or she is upright, then that needs to be 3 1/4. I'm just making it more complicated, aren't I? And then turn your koala on its side, and then you're going to score that at 4.5. Now those measurements will be different if you have a different size box. So it does depend on what, this is based on the measurements that I've done. Now try and make sure that you have a whole koala or elephant or toucan, but actually the koala's far easier to cut round. Because what I'm going to do, I'll stick those on there in a minute, but because I'm still using this last bit of paper that was at the bottom of our bottom of what we've cut, we're going to fussy cut a koala because I want to make a gift tag. Now this one, he's got a hat on, but I haven't actually got that. There's only probably a couple of these on the paper, so we're just going to have this koala, far easier to cut out. Now I'm not going to show you all of my fussy cutting because I have really poor eyesight and I need to get this really close up. But this is what I mean by fussy cutting. I'll see how far I get on. Now there are dies that go with this DSP, and my craft budget didn't stretch to dies, so I thought, well, I'm just going to fussy cut this. But if you like die cutting and you have a die cutting machine, then you might want to purchase the dies. But the dies would fit round this perfectly. And so I'm just going to get rid of him here like this, so I've got a smaller bit of paper to work on. But this is going to be very tedious for you to watch just because fussy cutting takes me a little bit of time. And it's quicker if I can get the paper right up close to my eyes. So don't judge me on this poor fussy cutting, so I would normally do this. I would normally do this a bit better than this. So I would normally go round the feet, each of them, but in this case I'm not, because I'm just speeding it up a bit. So take your time on this. I am rushing this, and I've just literally lopped off his thumb. Poor koala. But you kind of get my drift there of what you're doing. Now, I'm not the most artistic of people, you could probably tell, but you know, if I take my time over that, I can make that look a lot better. And you know, I'm not the most artistic of people, and you don't have to be to fussy cut. It's about having a nice sharp pair of scissors and some patience, neither of which I really have at the moment. So one of the, remember that bit of card that we had at the end of our cardstock, when we just lopped a little bit off the end of it? You're going to take that, and I'm going to, there's no science in this really. I'm just going to put in there like that, or her. Keep presuming this koala is a he. I'm going to put a hole up there to use it as a gift tag, and then I'm just going to lop a bit of that off. And before I stick my koala to that, I'm going to round off these edges. I don't like sharp corners. I do like my corners to be rounded, and this is the Detail Trio Punch that's got a corner rounder on it, because the original corner rounder we had, they retired it just before I became a demonstrator. So the Detail Trio Punch has a corner rounder on that. So I've got that, and then I'm going to make a small hole, and I've just got this little single hole punch, and I'm just going to do that, just eyeball it. This isn't a Stampin' Up! Hole punch, it's just one that, I think it's one that I had for college or something, if I just wanted to make single holes in something. And then I'm just going to stick him on there like that with some dimensionals. Just while I'm doing that, I just want to tell you a little bit more about the challenge. So again, just to remind you that it's run by Scrimping Mummy. If you want to head over to her YouTube channel, and it'd be great if you can take part. If you're a crafter, if you're not a crafter, if you've seen day one of my 30-day challenge, you will see that I've just made the simplest card. If you've never made a card and you really want to get into crafting, then come and have a go. And it just gets you into doing some crafting. And there'll be lots of other demonstrators and non-demonstrators getting involved with this, where you can get some inspiration. There's my tag, and there's my koala. And our poor little koalas in Australia at the moment are having such a hard time with these fires. Absolutely heartbreaking stories that we're seeing on the news with those poor koalas. So this is a project for the koalas. So I'm going to stick those on there like that. So you'll see that this is Coastal Cabana cardstock, and we've taken that out of our little koala's balloon. And I'm just going to stick this down with Tombow. Just about getting to the end of this bottle. I'm going to stick the, oh, I can't see my lines. Where have they gone? I don't think I folded that one. That's not good. Let's try that again. So this one is just going to go into that panel there. Make sure you've got the right one. There's the bottom. Just take a second to check, because once it's down, that's it. And it's just going to make a horrible gluey mess if you've got it on the wrong way round, and probably ruin your paper. And we'll put that one on that panel there. Now you could do, if you wanted to, rather than cutting out your DSP, you can actually just make this box out of DSP, but cardstock is a little bit more robust. Once you start putting things in there, it's probable that DSP isn't really going to cope with it. So while they're drying, so we want this, there's your 1/2 inch tab, and we're going to run some glue along that, and then we're going to bring that over and then just form our box. And then run your glue, not right up to the score line because it all just oozes out, but quite close. This is probably better done with some tear and tape. So I'm going to fold that over, and then I want to just match up my score lines and match up this raw edge with that fold line. Now while that is just sticking, remember that the 3rd of January is the launch of our mini catalogue. Let me show you said mini catalogue. Lovely stuff in there. And I'm looking forward to showing this to you on the 3rd. I can actually get this catalogue open and show it to you. And, you know, if you're watching lots of other demonstrators, you probably would have already seen inside it. But it is also Celebration as well. And this is also an absolutely awesome time to join Stampin' Up. Just because you join Stampin' Up doesn't mean that you have to, you know, run a business from it, or you do YouTube videos or workshops or anything like that. But it's a great way of getting your hands on £135 worth of Stampin' Up goods for £99. And on top of that, you also get a free mini trimmer and some 6x6 sample papers. You're getting a lot of stuff. You're probably getting on for £170 worth of goods for £99 delivered to your door. Come and drop me an email at taffycrafting@gmail.com and I'll give you more details about it. Anyway, so formed my box there. I now need to stick down the flaps here at the bottom. So look at where the seam is for the back. And I've made such a good job of gluing that I can't find it. There it is. So wherever you've got that seam, that is the back of your box. So have the back of the box next to you and fold in those two side flaps. Then fold in that one, and then you're going to fold in that one, not before we put some glue on it though. Again, I'm using Tombow, but you could use any glue you like. Snail, tear and tape. And then I'm just going to fold that down like that, get it nice and square, and I'm just going to hold that down. I'm just going to push that down like that. And while that's setting, let's put the lid on my glue. At that point, what you're going to do, I'm going to keep that firmly down there. The other thing that you can do to get that to grab is to get a ruler or something. Let's get my ruler. Oh, that's not a very good ruler. I've got a knitting needle here, that'll do. And I'm just going to poke that down like that and just get that to attach onto that card. Only use the best technical equipment here. Can't go wrong with a knitting needle. So I'm going to hold it like that, and then I'm going to put my nails or my fingers there like that, and you're just going to together squeeze there and squeeze here. So as you're squeezing those two lines together, those two edges together, you're then pushing in the middle. And then we've got some score, we had a score line there as well. And so that just forms a bit more of a box shape like that. And it all just kind of takes shape like that. So once we've got that, then I'm going to get that single hole punch that I used before. And I'm just going to eyeball that in the middle. Honestly, nobody would know, but if you would prefer to measure it, then do. So I've got a hole in there. And then what I'm going to do is get a pencil, and I'm just going to put a mark there, and then just try and get that. There we are. Almost matches. It's not far off, because when I go to put some ribbon on there, nobody will tell. So I've just picked out some grey ribbon here. I think this is retired, this one. Any ribbon will do. You could use some white twine. It's white baker's twine will go nice because it will go with that. And then what I'm going to do is then feed that ribbon through there. Feed that through there. Now I'm looking at that, I can tell that's not in the middle, that hole. But the recipient of what, you know, whatever you decide to put in this box is not going to care that that's not central. And you might want to write on the back of that as well if you want to. Entirely up to you. And then I'm just going to tie that together and make a little bow. Let's see if I can do a bow on camera. If you've watched me before, you know that I don't like bows. Well, that's not half bad at all. I'm not going to fiddle with that. I think that's a pretty good bow, if I do say so myself. With a little gift tag on it. And there we go, using the Birthday Bonanza DSP, which is in our new Stampin' Up mini catalogue. Give me a shout if you would like me to send you a catalogue. Send me an email at tappycrafting@gmail.com. And you can get quite a lot in that box. You know, you get some sweets in there. You know, it's obviously geared up for a child. Kids like sweets. But you could make this whatever size that you want in order to accommodate your box, accommodate your gift. So I hope you like that. That's day 2 of my 31 days, what is it called? 31 days craft challenge as set by Scrimping Mummy. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to give my channel a subscribe. If you're going to go over and subscribe to Scrimping Mummy, come and subscribe to me as well. I'll see you all again soon for day 3 of my 31 days craft challenge. See you soon. Bye bye.